Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Xony, and today we're going to have some more stories from Reddit. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video if you enjoy it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now without further, let's go. Now let's get into today's stories to find out what happened. My wife 38 and I 47 were together for roughly about 17 years. About 14 of them were spent with us married. When we first met, I thought she was older than she was. It was just the mature aura she gave off. She thought I was younger, which at the time did make me feel pretty good. After we decided that the age difference didn't matter, we went all in on the relationship. I was still a little hesitant about the age difference, but then I met her family. Her family was very big, bigger than mine. I'd always wished I had grown up in a close, tight-knit family. I'm the first to admit that her family, who welcomed me with open arms, is a huge factor in my continuing the relationship. She seemed just as crazy about her family as well. I took that as a good sign. A possible wife who thinks family is everything is a plus. The two of us went on to have a family of our own. 2 boys ages 8 and 11. During our marriage, things were good. We got along great, made memories with each other and our kids, and just enjoyed life. Anytime there were issues, we ended up working through them and persevering. I put my entire being in this relationship, like I had hobbies as any married guy did. Hunting, fishing, and golfing were all things I loved, but after our kids came, I knew the focus had to be on our sons. Our wife didn't get the memo because she didn't hold herself to the same standards. My wife seemed focused on our marriage and family at first, but slowly she started to become a very shallow and self-centered person. She didn't put the kids first or even consider me. I tried my best to accept these behavior changes and keep putting the work into our marriage. It all came crashing down on Memorial Day of all days. I was getting the boys ready for the holiday party when I heard my wife's muffled voice from the bathroom talking to someone. My curiosity got the best of me. And I ended up standing there listening. I couldn't hear who was on the other end of the phone, but I heard her. She was telling whoever she was on the phone with that she loved them, couldn't wait to be with them, and every day she spent with her husband, me, took a little part of her soul. So, I waited for her to come out of the bathroom. When she realized I had heard what she said on the phone, she was in shock. My wife didn't say anything at first. I asked if she was cheating, and she stuttered, trying to come up with some lame excuse. I told her to save it and walked out because I had a party to go to. My boys having a good holiday is what was my main focus. That was D-Day for me, and it's safe to say that the holiday is going to be sullied for me shortly. I'll never let my boys know, because I want them to enjoy the holiday and spend time with family. The reason I still attended with my kids was to keep up appearances. It was very hard to keep a smile on my face, but again, I did it for the boys. They will always be who I put first in all of this. My wife didn't go with us. She decided to go straight to the AP for comfort, ironically enough. When she finally came home from her AP, I asked her what happened. According to my soon-to-be ex-wife, I lacked passion and didn't show her any attention. I repulsed her, as she lovingly pointed out to me. She managed to say all of this while trying to butter me up with compliments about being a trusting husband, great provider, and father. I just was a terrible lover. However, she wanted to stay married and keep living in the marital home while remaining with her AP. I was shocked by that. My wife wanted her cake and to eat it too. She gets the stability of remaining with me and the apparent passion with this jerk she cheated on me with. Speaking of the AP, I knew the guy. He had been over to my house and I'd even hung out with him. The guy knew everything that was going on. I was busy working and coaching sports teams for our sons while she was screwing around with him behind my back. After the shock wore off, I realized I had to file for divorce. It should be done by the end of the year, which is getting closer and closer by the minute. She was against it and tried to convince me we could stay married. If not for us, then because of the boys, they deserved to be raised in a two-parent household. I'm not going to lie, I nearly burst out laughing when she said this. Was I tempted to do it for a moment, but then I realized it wasn't fair to my boys to do that. I didn't want to stay in a terrible relationship just for their sake. This wasn't something I wanted to emulate for them. If they ever, God forbid, found themselves in this position, then I would want them to retain some dignity and do what was best for them and their family. Besides, kids pick up on more things than we realize. I've learned this since my boys started therapy to deal with the situation. I'm also in therapy before you ask, so don't worry. My mental health is also being worked on. When news of the affair reached our friends and family, it didn't go the way she expected. Her own family didn't rally around her. Instead, they rallied around me, which I cannot begin to say was a huge help in the healing process because I fear I might lose my in-laws in the divorce process. The funny thing is, her boyfriend isn't allowed anywhere at her parents' house or any family functions, while my boys and I are more than welcome. She refuses to attend without the AP, so she and her family have no contact. I talk more to her mother than she does now. They used to talk 2 times a day, but now the contact is non-existent. For the holidays this year, my boys and I were gladly invited. I'm going to go, just not for the sake of my boys, but also because I enjoy being around the family. Recently, it seems that even our acquaintances are beginning to see through my wife's crap. There was a youth night at the high school football game that I attended with my boys. They get to go out on the field at halftime and get introduced to the team. She showed up there, but I already had a warning because she had texted me earlier that day. When she shows up, she marches over to her boys and starts taking pictures with them. I swear the moment she was done with the pictures, she left because her AP was performing at some dive bar. Is he any good? I have no idea, and nor do I want to know either. After my wife left, I had 4 different sets of parents come up to me and mention something about how she stayed just long enough to get her pictures for social media. It was hard not to burst out laughing. Let me tell you, it felt really good that people could see through her crap and that she's only playing up the Mom of the Year stuff for Instagram, Facebook, or whatever other social media she's on. We'll always have to remain in some contact because of our boys. One is still in the single digits, mind you. I'm just glad other people can see who she is, and when it comes down to it, she is going to put herself first and not me or the boys. In the meantime, I'll keep taking care of my boys and myself. I've started going back to the gym, picked up some of my old hobbies again, and reconnected with old friends. I can safely say I've never been happier. Now let's get into the second story. My wife 28 and I 35 got together about 8 years ago. We married 4 years into the relationship and I thought everything was great between us. Our love life was great and we were always being romantic. The 2 of us frequently went on dates and never neglected a part of our lives. Sometimes, married people can fall into a slump, but I swear that wasn't us. Sure, we had the rare fight, but they were over within a few hours. We'd make up so fast that it was like we almost hadn't fought in the first place. When I described her to people, I would say she was the love of my life because I truly believed that she was. She was everything I ever wanted in a partner. Naturally, I thought she felt the same way because why wouldn't I? My wife never gave me any indication that there was a problem in our relationship. People tend to say that they saw signs or cracks along the way, but I swear I saw nothing. Everything did seem almost perfect. After my wife joined a volleyball club in February, things started to change. I didn't bat an eyelash at first. She had played it in high school and wanted to pick it up again. Twice a week for 3 hours, she'd go down to the center to practice. During that time, I missed her, but if she wanted to do this, then I was more than happy to support her. She always supported me in my hobbies, so there was no reason why I wouldn't do the same. I think the moment I realized something was wrong was when she began to hide her smartphone from me. She never did that before. We never had secrets from each other and had no problem with the other using each other's phones. So when she went to the bathroom in the evening and forgot to take it with her, I checked the phone. What I found was a punch in the gut and a conversation with a teammate. I found many messages. When I confronted her, she grabbed the phone and deleted the text. My wife cried that it meant nothing. They had gone for several walks over the months and kept spending time together, but it was nothing. He did try to kiss her once, but she rebuffed him. They were just friends, but she realized that she had done wrong by seemingly encouraging the relationship with him. My wife begged me for a chance and to trust that nothing happened. Silly me was still deep in the fog, so I agreed to forgive her that night. Even though I agreed to forgive her, it was difficult. I constantly asked my wife where she was, what she was doing, and who she was with. I even began to track her Google data, where I found a couple of 15-minute stops near a tire store. For some time, she had been stopping there after work and then driving home. I started to realize something was up after she was an hour late for an appointment. So I did the only thing I could think of. I followed her one day. What I found was her in his car, and the second she saw me, she jumped out of the car. She said that the only reason she met with the guy was to tell him to leave it alone. This made no sense to me. Why would you go through all that effort to meet him in public? You could tell him that over text or phone call. Naturally, I thought she was full of crap, so I called the guy and confronted him. It was there I learned that this guy, who still lived with his parents, mind you, had been meeting with my wife for weeks. They claimed it was nothing sexual. All they would do is meet at the tire shop, talk, and then go their separate ways. Once again, she tried to claim that it was a mistake and she loved it. It means nothing is her favorite thing to say. My wife has said she will do whatever it takes to repair our relationship, but if this was the case, then why is she still in volleyball where she continues to see this guy multiple times a week? It was at that point I started to come out of the fog. Once I began to confront her, the truth came out. The two of them did have intimate, and not only that, they did it right in the parking lot. For weeks she had been lying to my face and sleeping with this guy almost every day. Truly, I had been naive to think that nothing intimate was going on between them. Of course, she would try to lie and say it was not physical. If I knew it was physical from the beginning, I never would have even thought of giving her another chance, because that is just a line you don't cross in my book. I think realizing that she sees him every day and continues to lie to my face is what helped me realize I needed to start the divorce process. This caught her off guard because she didn't think I'd have the guts to push for a divorce and finally leave her. Tears came, but I remained strong. My wife's tears weren't going to have any sway this time. She was going to have to face the consequences for what she had done to not just me, but also used as a whole. No longer could she have the best of both worlds. Once I filed for divorce, she ended up moving out of our shared property and into airing apartments for the most part. Her AP is an unemployed driver who still lives with his parents who will not allow her to live there, so she had no choice but to seek temporary housing arrangements. She is a teacher, so her income isn't the greatest. I don't know what she will do when she runs out of money to afford these temporary housing arrangements. However, now that we are close to a divorce, I realize that it is not my problem. Maybe she'll manage to land on her feet, or maybe she won't. I just need to realize it's something I do not have to or need to worry about. Let her AP worry about it since he's so amazing. A lot of her things are still in our shared home. Even now she'll try to say that there is no life without you and she wants to get back together. Months ago this would have swayed me, but now I'm just gray rock. Her words do little to sway me. I see how frustrated she gets when I don't have a reaction. And honestly, it feels good. I've managed to pick up the pieces and have filled my life with friends, sports, and hobbies, and I'm even considering furthering my education. Was it easy to pick up the pieces of my life after learning of my wife's affair? No, but I remain steadfast and determined to put myself first. Looking back, I still can't see many signs or pinpoint where it went wrong. I guess she was just good at hiding it. Either way, it doesn't matter because our relationship is done. She can remain with her unemployed AP. Maybe his parents will finally take pity on her and let her stay. If they don't, then I can honestly say it's not my problem if she can't find a place to stay. She lost my sympathy when she decided to go outside our relationship and cheat on me. The moment she did that, she was undeserving of anything from me other than anger and resentment.